Margaret Rose and I feel so much for you, as we know from experience what it means to be away from those we love most of all. To you, living in new surroundings, we send a message of true sympathy, and at the same time, we would like to thank the kind people who have welcomed you to their homes in the country.
Never mind.
Perhaps you would like a marmalade sandwich. I always need one for emergencies.
So do I. I keep mine in here. For later.
There we go. And Sir Anthony Selwyn is still with me. Sir Anthony, what's interesting there, I think what strikes most people really in terms of the two clips we used, obviously the amount of time between them, but the change in the Queen's voice, and that tells us something, doesn't it? Received pronunciation back in 1940, those clipped tones, and much more like the rest of us speak by the time of Paddington, if I could put it that way.
Well, it shows her extraordinary power of adaptation, doesn't it? She moved with the times, and that's why she remained enduringly loved and popular. But also, having seen that 1941 before, there you could see her ability to empathise, even as a 14, 15-year-old, she was saying that she could imagine.
For one, it was a speech.
Young people felt being away
Two,
from their families,
70 years later,
and she felt it.
it wasn't a speech, it was just for public show on a Platinum Jubilee. She didn't have to speak all that in that time, did she?
80 years to the Platinum Jubilee, and there she's still got that ability.
She didn't have
be
to.
funny and empathetic, and communicate with people, with children, and people of all ages. I mean, that's a sublime gift in anybody, but to have that gift as a monarch, wow, I mean, that's really special.
And just looking back to the 1940s, and there's Her Majesty the Queen, of course, in service. And Sir Anthony, is this, in a way, then the final end of the post-war period with the death of Her Majesty the Queen, that link now broken?
I think it is. I really do. It was significant that in one of her greatest ever broadcasts during COVID, and who, of course, did the nation look to during COVID for consolation and direction? They looked to the monarch, not to the Prime Minister. They looked to the monarch. What was her cultural reference point? Back to Vera Lynn, back to We'll Meet Again. So I think that is a closing down of the Second World War. In a way, the long Second World War and Britain's role as one of the great powers in the Second World War and the Empire, it's all coming to an end now. Brexit also another factor in that. We are at the dawn of a new age, and we have to find a new place in the world and a new justification for Britain claiming its authority in the world.
So Anthony, do stay with us, but for the time being, thank you very much indeed. Well, of course, in the past 10 days, the King has moved from Edinburgh to Belfast and Cardiff, and then back to London, greeting his new subjects. He's been met with warmth and affection, but once that wave of grief and emotion has passed, so might some of the goodwill towards the new monarch. Our royal correspondent, Rhiannon Mills, reports.
God save the King.
The change was immediate. For a man who always knew this time would come, the cameras allowed in like never before, so we could understand how he felt about her and what he's taken on.
As the Queen herself did with such unswerving devotion, I too now solemnly pledge myself, throughout the remaining time God grants me, to uphold the constitutional principles at the heart of our nation.
Scott Fessenden Wood, the British High Commissioner to Barbados, was Charles's Deputy Private Secretary for 4 years and believes the man he knows well has acted quickly to squash suggestions he'll be a meddling monarch.
As King, he will do things differently. It's a very different job. But I think we'll
still see those same instincts, that same desire to want to use his role appropriately, but to use his role in a way which makes a difference to this country, makes a difference in the Commonwealth, and does a service.
I, Charles, Prince of Wales.
There are no rules for how he should reign, but he had the best of teachers. The Queen guiding him towards the role that would eventually be his. It shaped a man who always keeps his police officers on their toes, the walkabouts this week coming naturally. As he showed us, he wasn't just going to do what was expected, but what matters to him.
A sovereign has an additional duty, less formally recognised, but to be no less diligently discharged. It is the duty to protect the diversity of our country.
On the world stage, she will be a hard act to follow. Very rarely.
Oh, that was so.
The rolling cameras
That was so unreal. That was.
as forgiving
I could not make it out whatsoever.
Wells and pens bearing the brunt.
It was just for a photo shoot.
And in some ways, showing why
group
the
photo.
new king
That's all it was.
and the institution still has work to do. And why the new monarch has needed his family.
Getting the right tone in this moment was always going to be potentially difficult for King Charles. But what we have seen this week is how the entire family also want to step up to help. In every one of their tributes to the Queen, they also mention their brother, their father, their uncle, and their support for the new king.
Publicly, he has united them, but it is still the Queen that has brought the world together. Now that heaviest of responsibilities rests with her son, finally it is his time to lead. Rhiannon Mills, Sky News, in central London.
And Sir Anthony Selden is still with me. While Sir Anthony has been often observed over the past 10 days, we're in a new era. How will Charles approach the role?
Well, he's shown already that he is fully up for it. He's had the longest induction of anybody on earth, 70 years waiting for it. He's got lots of ideas, but he's also very clear that he's not going to enter the political arena. In one sense, he doesn't need to, because we all know what he thinks about the environment and about local crafts and arts and communities, so he doesn't need to, but he clearly wants to carry on that heritage, to the monarchy to still represent the entire United Kingdom. That's going to be a big struggle for him, with Ireland, with Scotland, keeping the Commonwealth together. I think he's made a really good start. I mean, it's such a tough act taking over from his mother. You never want to take over as a leader from somebody who is much loved, who everyone thinks is great, because how can you compare? And when she started off, she was young and beautiful. We felt protective towards her. You know, there he is, a 73-year-old, but I think he's done well.
Sir Anthony, for the time being, thank you very much indeed. Welcome. Windsor Castle, now back to Buckingham Palace and Anna.
I'll miss her hugely, the heartfelt words from the Archbishop of Canterbury as he prepares for his role at the Queen's state funeral. Justin Welby also told me that world leaders should learn from Queen Elizabeth's example. He will give the sermon in Westminster Abbey tomorrow in front of a global audience, which could reach billions.
I feel very privileged to be there. Not pleased to be there, because we would all prefer that this had not happened, but we're all going to miss and grieve for the Queen. But it's a huge privilege to be able to take part in this, focused on the family first, because this is a family saying goodbye at a funeral to someone they love.
Do you get